party has given you total time, as of now.
Very well, sir. Now, this is an ordinance which came on 25th of March. We must remember that Madhya Pradesh government lost its majority around 20th of March. A new chief minister was sworn in on 23rd. One day before that, there was a Janta curfew or lockdown. And a couple of days thereafter, we had the sudden announcement with a 4-hour notice to the 135 crore people of this country that we are going to witness a 21-day lockdown. Now, in this backdrop, some laws were hurriedly made, and this is one of those laws which came very hurriedly. This was an ordinance which came on 25th of March. And now that ordinance is being turned into a bill. Before I give detailed criticism of the ordinance which is now a bill, let me just read what is there in this bill. There's only 2 sections which I need to read, and those sections per se show that the instinct of the finance minister in a speech of 17th May, which I'll come to later, would be better reflected if implemented rather than this bill. Now, what does this bill say? 10A. Notwithstanding anything contained in section 7, 9 and 10, no application for initiation of corporate insolvency resolution process. In short, it is called CIRRP, of a corporate debtor shall be filed. Initiation, the filing is stopped for any default, any means whether COVID related or not, arising on and after 25th of March 2020 for a period of 6 months, which will, I think, end in September, or such period not exceeding 1 year from such date as may be notified. Now, another objection is, you have capped it to 1 year. Are you sure that COVID is going to end in 1 year? Then you may need another amendment. That is why I moved an amendment to this bill to say you could do away with it not exceeding 1 year and just read this as for a period of 6 months and such date as may be notified from time to time. Next is a very odd provision which I have not been able to understand, and I am sure it will never meet the test of law. Provided that no application shall ever be filed for initiation of a corporate insolvency resolution process of a corporate debtor for the said default occurring during the said period. I mean, I'm wondering, is this to say that it will not be filed in that 6 months or 1 year period? Or it's forever? If I read it, it's forever. How can you just say that forever for a category of people who may not even be COVID affected? That all their defaults are non-actionable? Someday I'm sure the court is going to ask this. And they'll say that what were the parliamentarians doing? I mean, there was, looks like a total non-application of mine. And then, of course, there's an explanation. For the removal of doubts, it is hereby clarified that the provisions of this section shall not apply to any default committed under the said section before 25th of March. So it says any default before 25th of March is not in the purview of this bill. Another surprising feature of this bill is the addition of subsection 3 in section 66 of the Principal Act. What it says is, notwithstanding anything contained in this section, no application shall be filed by a resolution professional under subsection 2 in respect of such default against which initiation of corporate insolvency resolution process is suspended. I'm just left to wonder, what was the need for this? If the initiation is not possible under 10A, how would a resolution professional move in an application which is not before the court? Are we trying to protect defaulters who are otherwise beyond the ambit? or we are allowing them to make further defaults in this period. So I'm going to expand on these points. Now let me do my other part. When you say suspension of sections 7, 9 and 10, I think it's a makeshift solution to a long-standing problem. There is no certainty that economy will revive in 1 year. It is at best an optimistic assumption that businesses will be able to thrive during the period of suspension of IBC. System-wide gross NPAs of banks went up from 2.63 lakh crores in March 2014 to 10.3 lakh crores in March 2018. The NPA and defaulting problems are pre-pandemic, and Section 10A would only postpone the problem and not solve it. It's not a solution. In fact, when the suspension under 10A is lifted, very important, sir, the creditors will be in a worse position, as it is likely that the value of assets of corporate debtors erodes during the suspended period. Therefore, the enactment of 10A may even be counterproductive in solving India's macroeconomic crisis. Therefore, I had said that since there is no certainty on how long the pandemic would continue, it is also meaningless to fix a maximum cap. Therefore, I moved an amendment which is for the consideration of this House. The second point is about MSMEs. Now, the present amendment, which aims to put a blanket bar on initiation of applications, will do more harm than good to MSMEs. MSMEs provide employment to 12 crore people, contribute 25% of GDP and 45% of exports from India. Successful corporate insolvency resolution has led to a recovery of 1.52 lakh crore for lenders from the inception of the code till the end of 2019. MSMEs who depend on the code to enforce recovery of their debt will be worst affected. So what my case is, a blanket protection by suspension of entire IBC framework will create burden and helplessness on the part of MSME creditors. Small creditors who have provided services to defaulting large corporations will be rendered helpless without the protection under the code. This will definitely punish a small trader like Ramlal and protect bigger fishes like big corporations who have thousands of crores in default. Therefore, MSMEs must be allowed, sir, this is my recommendation. Therefore, MSMEs must be allowed to initiate CIRT proceedings irrespective of the provisions. The third point is, the entire object of the code is compromised by this amendment. The code aims to prevent willful default by companies. However, a blanket bar on Section 7, 9 and 10 would enable many companies which are already under defaulting category to use the notification as a shield to protect themselves in the future proceedings. So are we protecting which category of industries? Do we want to protect COVID category of industries or all industries irrespective of their performance in the past? Another thing is, then the suspension of 7, 8, 9 and 10, instead of suspending the entire framework, COVID-related defaults may be added as a defense, that this is possible. This is where I say Section 10A does not make a distinction between COVID-19 default and other defaults and protects all defaults. My suggestion would be to include COVID-19 related defaults as a defense by suitably amending Section 7 and 9 and let the adjudicating authority protect COVID-19 defaults on a case-by-case basis. I'm happy to say that the Honorable Finance Minister's instincts were correct. When in a press conference, she declared that on 17th of May 2020, that COVID-19 related defaults will be excluded from the definition of default. Instead of amending the definition, The entire code has been suspended effectively. So the question was, you could have achieved the same result by just putting a proviso to the word in the definition of default and protecting those category of industries which were pandemic affected. And those proceedings could have been stopped or delayed or postponed. Instead, we have put a blanket cover which has come as a shield for the good and the bad. Another point which begs the consideration of the Honorable Finance Minister, in line with the objective of the code, a maximizing asset maximizing asset value, because one of the points of the code is that we must be able to maximize recoveries from the value of assets. So in line with the object of the code, that is maximizing asset value, suspension of section 10 must be relooked with a complete application of mind. Bring back section 10 would give corporate debtors an opportunity to file voluntary applications under the IBC. A business being allowed to voluntarily file for insolvency will help preserve assets which may not be maintained otherwise. What I am trying to say, under section 10, say MSMEs, if they want to go to the IBC court and move an application, they may even be protecting their assets. Even the recovery of assets will be better. Even appointment of a resolution professional would help them. So every case need not be stopped. What we've done is, as a reaction, it was a knee-jerk reaction. We had not thought of all the consequences on 25th of March. It happened so suddenly that the nation had to wake up to a new reality. And in that event, we brought in a shield, which shield is not only protecting some, but also benefiting a lot of people who are undeserving. Now see section 66, the amendment to section 66. What does it say? It says, I mean, frankly speaking, I can't fathom why 66(3) was introduced. Are we trying to protect the directors, the partners of all those big corporations who may be indulging in fraudulent practices? What is the intent? Because if your application is protected, if the very filing of your initiation of application is protected, the move of 66 under 66(3) comes much later. And a resolution professional would move for recovery from those directors to benefit the companies little late, comes later if there is an application. Now, if the application is not there, where is the question of 66(3) being applied? Now, what is happening is 66(3) today is being engaged and happily being used by all these directors, all these tricksters, scamsters who indulge in financial juggleries, and they use this as a tool. They use this as a tool to make sure that their prosecution proceedings don't start, their recovery proceedings don't start. So my problem is, this was like an overkill. We had time to think, and if we had time to think, what the Honorable Finance Minister suggested on 17th of March, her instincts were correct. All you needed was a change in the definition. And what we have done is, we stopped all proceedings, good and bad have been mixed together, the directors are being benefited, MSMEs are being killed, and the whole economy, like a thoughtless nation, we put the whole economy to a grinding halt. Now, my contention is, in these circumstances, Honorable Finance Minister, in view of her own statement of 17th of May, may have a relook at these provisions, may reconsider these provisions in public interest. It need not be forced upon the country to have an economic system, an economic apparatus, or an economic strategy which is counterproductive. So, with these 656 points, we are not opposing this bill, but we are requesting the Honorable Finance Minister, in the interest of the country, in public interest, to look at these points. And I'm sure some of these points would be beneficial for the people and the country and industry. Thank you.
Thank you, Mani Vivek ji. Mani Arun Singh ji.